When you hit a bump in the road, do you react the way that you want to react? Because you don't drown when you fall into water. When you are in over your head, you don't drown. Unless you stay there. So great leaders not only have purpose, great leaders not only have priorities, but great leaders also have persistence. They find a way. And I want to share with you a story about a donkey who was walking around on a farm. This was an old donkey. He was in the last years of his life. And as he's stumbling around this old farm, he fell into a well. An old dried up well. And he's stuck in the bottom of this well. And the farmer's worried because he doesn't know how he's going to get this donkey out. It's an old donkey, and anything that they can think of to try to pull it up is going to either hurt it or kill it. And the farmer said, I don't know what else to do. He goes, I want to make this as painless as possible for this donkey. And so what he did was he said, I'm going to bring all my friends over. He goes, we're going to bring our shovels, and we are going to do this quickly. He goes, we're going to bury the donkey. And so all his neighbors come over, and he said, we're going to do this fast and quick. And as they started shoveling dirt down into that well, that donkey starts wailing. And he's like, let's just go quickly, quickly. And all of a sudden the wailing stopped. And then he just, let me just take a peek and see how that donkey's doing. He looked down there into the well to see what that donkey was doing, because he'd stopped his wailing. And as they're throwing all this dirt to bury him, that donkey's sitting there in the bottom of that well, shaking off the dirt and stepping up. And as they continued to shovel dirt down into that well, that donkey was shaking it off and stepping up. Until he was able to step out and walk away free. So how do you react when people are throwing dirt on you? How do you react when you're in hot water in a situation? Do you react like a carrot? What do carrots do when you put them into hot water? I heard somebody say it. They soften. They get soft. Do you soften when you're in a tough situation? How about an egg? Are you an egg? What does an egg do when you put it into hot water? Hardens on the inside. Do you soften to a situation like a carrot? Do you harden on the inside like an egg? Or are you a coffee bean? What does a coffee bean do when you put it into hot water? Makes coffee. So we're overthinking that. Do you react to the situation by softening and giving in and giving up? Do you react to a situation by hardening on the inside, and no matter what you say, I'm going to be ugly and mean back to you about it? Or are you like coffee, who says, you know what? I'm going to change the environment around me. I'm going to make everything around me better. And if you're not where you want to be, how do you get there? What's the good, the bad, and the new when it comes to you dealing with a bump in the road? Are you a carrot? Are you an egg? Or are you a coffee bean? And what do you need to do to react the way you want to? My son got a video game for Christmas 2 years ago. Anybody ever played this video game? It's called Guitar Hero. He got this video game for Christmas, and he was addicted. I think our whole family got addicted to this video game. And if you've never seen it, it's got this fake guitar. It's got this little lever in the front, and you push these buttons. As these colors come down the screen, if you're pushing the right buttons at the right time, the songs sound really good. And he'd gotten past the introduction, he'd gotten past the intermediate, he was on the expert level. And he played through every song at that expert level. It's actually pretty amazing. They say that kids don't get exercise playing video games. I saw him sweating and moving and pushing the buttons. I mean, he looked like he was getting lots of exercise. Guess what happened after he finished and mastered that video game? That's what he wanted now. He wanted a real guitar. He's like, Dad, I'm ready. I want to do real guitar now. And so his mom and I, we made a deal with him. We said, you buy the guitar and we'll pay for the lessons. So he went and got himself an acoustic guitar. And he started practicing day in and day out for about 2 weeks. And at the end of those 2 weeks, he was able to come and show us. Ring. That was the best he could do. And he said, Dad, I'm done. He goes, it's too hard. He goes, 2 weeks into the video game, I'd mastered it. 2 weeks into the video game, I was on the expert level. This guitar is not as easy as the video game. I'm done. And I don't say a lot of profound things, but I said this to him. I said, everything is difficult until it isn't. He was 11 at the time, and he looked at me and goes, Dad, what does that mean? I said, think about it. I go, anything and everything we've ever attempted to do was difficult until it wasn't. And I go, whether it's playing guitar, or I go, whether it was learning Spanish, which we're doing today, or whether it's in your business, it's difficult, and we're going to face difficulties. Met with a friend for lunch a couple weeks ago, and he shared with me a book, an old book that I hadn't read in years, called, by Scott Peck, The Road Less Traveled. Anybody know the first 3 words from that book? And Don, you're not allowed to say it, because he told me. Life is difficult. Life is difficult. Everything we've ever attempted to do is difficult until it isn't. And so when you face those bumps in the road, you act like Colonel Sanders, who got rejected 1,006 times before somebody bought his secret recipe. Do you react like Abraham Lincoln, who was rejected numerous times as he ran for Speaker of the House and Congress before he was finally elected 16th President of the United States? Or are you like Thomas Edison, who admittedly spent 10,000 times failing before he invented the light bulb? And he always said to people, he goes, I didn't fail 10,000 times. He goes, I found 10,000 ways not to invent the light bulb. Anybody ever heard of John Hauser? Anybody know what he did? Anybody heard of him? Abraham Lincoln, you've heard of, right? Thomas Edison, you've heard of? Colonel Sanders, you've heard of, right? John Hauser? John Hauser did the one thing that you can't do if you want to be a great leader. You know what he did? He quit. That's why you never heard of him. So if you want to be successful in whatever it is that you do, you need to remember that great leaders have purpose. They know where they're going. Great leaders have priorities. They've organized the golf balls in front of the pebbles, in front of the sand. And great leaders have persistence. They never give up. Thanks for your time this afternoon.